Welcome to Beyond Beats episode 9. I'm DYVN. We've got Metic in the house, and we have a guest, which is right next to me, the amazing JYN. Let's go.
Our very esteemed guest. It's so awesome seeing you guys in the same room, and I think in some ways it's I feel like I've known you just through hearing DYVN talk about you so many times.
Same. Yeah.
And also I feel like you've had, because DYVN gets a lot of input from you as well, and I feel like you've given us so many valuable pieces of advice.
You're kind of the producer of the show.
I kind of like heard you. Exactly. I heard you talking about pretty much the exact topics we were talking about like the day before. So I even sometimes heard him say things like, make points totally naturally, like, yeah, it's like this and this. And I was like, well, you just learned that yesterday, right? Or like 10 minutes before you went live. But hey.
So this is the DYVN Exposed show. I can already tell this is going to be the title of the episode.
No. But, thank you for, your patience and everything, dealing with all the questions that we deal with, about the podcast and the music and everything. So, yeah, it's great to finally talk to you.
It's cool being here. Yeah. Thanks.
For those who don't know, JYN is both a very cool indie pop singer who just released a new song today, Feel It Too. I'm also, I got to stop looking to the left because
same here.
She's right next to me.
Focus.
She's also the mother of my daughter and my wife for, I think, 7 years now. So, that's that. I'll try to call you JYN. It's kind of hard as well.
Yes,
if I do call you Julia, it's kind of like our code names. This is DYVN here and JYN.
DYVN, yeah. We got a very exciting episode in store. I think we have a couple of topics that we want to explore with you. One of which is how do you balancing motherhood with all your creative pursuits, because you guys are, from what I'm able to observe, you guys are a creative powerhouse. Well, you guys
thanks.
Or at least up until recently, you guys share the same studio space, and you guys both make music. And JYN, you're also a really talented illustrator as well. You do all the illustrations for your record label, Misa, and
which he's also co-founded. I feel like you're giving it such a good introduction, and mine is just crappy. It's like it's way better than mine.
No, I think together it's like the full package.
Full harmony.
Yeah, this is the Misa package, and you guys are such a creative powerhouse, and you guys do so much, and I guess we can just dive right in. Like maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Perhaps anything you can share about how do you balance? Because as we all know, being a parent, being a mother, it's a full-time gig. Like anything you can share in terms of how to balance so many different things in your life.
Well, yeah. Okay. So DYVN here told me that I'm supposed to come in as like the expert of well-being and balance, because he's so impressed with me doing that. And at first I was like, well, okay, if you say so, I guess. But
hey, we'll have it.
I thought about it, and I think this might also actually be because I'm a mom now, so I think this all kind of like goes together. Oh wow, it's like I have so many
There's just so
thoughts.
much, yeah, because
it's like
there's a lot.
Topic,
I'm sure there's a lot to
Okay,
process.
so where to start? How to get this straight? Okay, so first of all, I feel like being a mom made me more balanced, because I was like, when I got pregnant, I was taking so much good care of myself, because I felt like now it's like I'm not only responsible for myself, but I'm also responsible for, the baby. inside of me. So I think that is also when I started to actually, take better care of myself and like eat more healthy and stop all the not so healthy things that you consume when you're not pregnant or younger. And started to work out a lot because I didn't like at first because I didn't want to, get too big. And then I also felt like, okay, this is actually really good for myself. And I think while I was pregnant, I was starting to take really good care of me, of myself. And that was like also the kickstart of, then I noticed that taking care of myself was also not only good for myself and the baby, but also for my surroundings, because I started to be much more balanced as a person. And that was also good for my friendships and also my relationship. And so I feel like this is actually something that came with being pregnant and then having a baby.
I think that's in some ways caring for someone bigger, something bigger than yourself. I think that's a very important theme. But I think in terms of like your time, like how, I guess, how do you juggle so many, like, is there, I'm also pretty interested in like how you guys structure your day as well. Like it's and because you guys are so productive, and how do you guys keep keep this level of output and at the same time tend to your family and all that?
I think it's a lot about communication and like setting clear goals that we can both sort of so each one always has to know what the other one is up to, because one is always taking care of our daughter and the other one is always like trying to be as productive as possible, which of course sometimes doesn't work out. Sometimes it's just I just spent an hour doing nothing and then it's just it is like that and you don't get that time back. But it's a lot about communicating, kind of optimization later on, like what didn't work out and all those things. So I think I've always had that notion of time being super valuable, but now it has become like 10 times more valuable in a way, because if you don't make the best of your time, then it's just gone and you never get it back, which of course is always true. But it also means that the other person couldn't like be productive in that time. So you're kind of like using two people's time.
But you can also you can't, like, especially if you're creative, you can't like structure everything too much, because then you don't have the room to just flow and be creative. And
that's kind of what we talked about last week, right?
I was about
we tried sorry, go.
No, go for it.
We tried like all kinds of different structures, and we also tried to be like really strict and be like, okay, from this time till this time each day, like Davin is working, sorry. And then
now you just gave away my secret identity.
Oh no.
And that also that was just really frustrating, and really like, because it was so much pressure on like this short period of time that you have to get going right now. And you have to like, okay, so you have to write a song right now, you have like 40 minutes. It's like impossible, because you cannot just come up with something whenever you want. So you basically have to also have to have the
relate to that
flexibility to get going whenever you feel it. So I think that's the hardest thing to struggle, like having a structure and on the other hand still being flexible and taking the time whenever you get inspired.
And it's a lot about like whenever I feel inspired, or whenever Julia feels inspired, it's also having the other person's back. It's like like say I have an idea and I want to work on that. I'm like, I need to get this out of my system somehow, like see where it leads me, and then she's like, okay, cool. Then whatever I had planned, I'll just, I'll accustom to that, or vice versa. So it's a lot about that too.
I think from a couple's perspective, it is most important, or for what works best for us is having like the same goals.
Yeah.
Like for me, if I think like if I see like DYVN tasks also as my responsibility in a way, and I'm as excited if this gets done than my own things, that's when we work best together. If we have like right now we have like a shared list of things that needs to get done this week, for example.
Yeah.
And so it's like equally important for us both that our projects,
that all things get checked out.
Exactly.
So to say.
I think that's what
kind
works
of
best.
I think
teamwork makes the teamwork makes the
work.
Exactly.
There's so many things you guys said just now that I feel like bears more highlighting. I think number one is, like DYVN said earlier, how well you guys communicate as a couple, and not just a couple, but as two people who are also in a creative partnership together. And you guys talked about owing a responsibility to each other to kind of maximize each other's curiosities, explorations, and all that, and giving room to each other for I have an idea, I want to, because that's what I was trying to understand, like how you guys, because I thought you guys had to set out specific times and all that, but you also, the fact that you guys also give room for each other to explore ideas when you get them, like that's I feel like that speaks really well to how you guys communicate.
And of course, it sometimes works better and sometimes it works worse. So
of course, yeah.
Obviously.
But it's just the understanding, and the fact that, and which leads me to the second point, was having shared goals is also so important. And I just want to highlight, this is kind of an extension of last week's episode where DYVN and I just talked about how to set better goals,
which is based on a concept that Jen over here came up. So
exactly. That was one of the things that Jen gave a lot of input on, and it's great to actually talk to you guys about, because if for the listeners who listen to, for those who didn't listen to last week's episode, I'm not that great with setting goals. I'm not that great with setting clear, measurable goals that I could hold myself accountable to. And it sounds like you guys actually go through this kind of exercise together, and then you actually have a shared list, like not just for the week, but also like kind of like for, I don't know, like longer term goals as well. Like, do you guys just sit down and talk to each other about this kind of stuff? Or?
Yes, definitely, yeah. I think it's not only like we, of course we do have, like we try to have a daily meeting kind of thing after breakfast about like our weekly and daily goals, but like Sundays usually are more for like inspiration and also talking about how is everything going, where do we want to go long term, and how does everything fit into this vision. So yeah, definitely we are also talking about bigger goals.
Wow. I feel like that's such a, that's a structure that I kind of need in my life too. Like just setting clear goals. Like I think, that's one thing I still kind of I'm thinking about from last episode.
But I think it's not only the problem with not having the right or having clear goals. I think there's a couple of things that can stand in your way if you want to like get going, or especially if you want to implement like more well-being habits kind of things into your life. I think there's a couple of things. I actually made a list before this episode started. Like all the reasons I feel like people, or me in the past or still in the present, have a hard time getting things done or getting into good habits. So if you want to, we can, I can also ask you some questions that I have found interesting.
She's taking over. Man. She's taking over.
I feel like it's turning into like a life coaching consultation.
At first, I felt like it was couples therapy, and now it's just like self-help for creatives.
Yeah, this is just like I would love to hear it.
So I have a couple of topics or points. Number one is quote, self-care is selfish. And I feel like that's for many people a reason why they don't take good care of themselves, because they feel like, first of all, I have to take care of others, I have to fulfill their needs. You know, people that are like kind of like people pleasing and being more like, I put myself last because, you know, I want to see that everybody is fine first. And I feel like that is such a dumb reason, because honestly, as I was like this definitely before I was pregnant. And as I said in the beginning, I feel like once I started to take better care of myself, I was also able to take better care of others. So what do you guys think about that?
As you know, I do live by that like airplane sort of rule that you got to put on your own rescue jacket first, like your own, before you help others. And that's kind of, so I think that's one of the things I've always been better at than you have, but we've kind of evened each other out, where now you're kind of better than I'm at this, and I've gotten worse. So now we're at a good like evened out level, I think.
How do you mean in terms of self-care? You've gotten worse.
A little bit, but I was really good at it, so I'm still in like greenish territory.
But as in like how do you mean just like taking time for yourselves? Because like I guess it also helps to kind of explain like a little deeper like what it actually means, like taking time for yourself, like going on I don't know, like walks alone or meditating or spending more time in the studio. Like what I guess what are some methods that you guys use to get your mind right, I guess?
I think it's anything that gets you, that's not productive in that sense, but still that kind of grounds you, that evens you out, and that makes you sort of balanced just by the act of doing something that you want to do, but that doesn't necessarily have any productive output. For me, it's like it's actually trimming my hair once a week. Sounds totally stupid, but putting on a podcast self-care and just trimming my hair once a week is just 25 minutes of me time that I'm just like, it's just nice. And I always feel fresh afterwards, and I'm well entertained with the podcast. So it's, of course, going on a walk and stuff like that as well.
I think it's different for everybody, right? Like what makes you feel grounded, what gets you to be more at ease with yourself and closer to yourself. So for me, for example, it's like definitely going out in nature and running, or just going for walks with my dog or our dog. So I think that's for me, like I try to go out and run every morning, because that for me that makes me super calm and at ease, and then I'm way better at like getting through the day.
I think what you guys said about just me time and not being too precious, because I feel like we all kind of, as kind of creatives, like we all kind of push ourselves, trying to like eke out every last drop, every last second of our time to like, be doing something productive. So I think having doing stuff that makes you feel at ease is very important. I think, I guess for me, podcast is another. I guess I share that with DYVN too. Just listening to podcasts.
I was gonna go because I thought you meant like recording the podcast, but then it's listening to. I just realized that midway, and I was like, "Don't."
That too. That too. I do get. I don't know. I do get sick of hearing my own voice sometimes. Like editing the podcast. That's one thing I learned. I'm like, oh man, I need to like improve the way I talk. No, but that's. I mean, yeah. I think that's. Thanks for highlighting that. Self-care is selfish, but it's also necessary. I think that's the main message, and
I think the message is that it's not selfish. Like I think the message is that that's like a
right.
I forgot the word for that. Common misception or something.
Yeah, I think so
right.
too.
It enables you to take better care of those around you.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
What I right now find really interesting as a creative is there too much balance and self-care for being creative? Because I sometimes feel like if I'm too balanced, I don't have the motivation to, create. Because if I don't have like any struggle, I don't really know how to create. Like I'm not really inspired.
Or even what to create, because there's nothing.
Because I'm like,
no friction going on.
Or I could just play with my kid and be like happy, and So how do you guys do that?
Yeah, that's such a good point. I honestly don't know. I'll give the floor to Metic.
I understand where that thought comes from, right? Because you a lot of art actually stems from trauma, bad experiences, and then I don't know. I think the way I kind of deal with it is I love playing the guitar. Like I will never, I feel like, be not inspired by just picking up the guitar and just noodling and finding chords, and like for me it's weird. Like sometimes I get really obsessed with certain chord shapes, and then maybe like this week I really like I don't know, the minor 9 chord or something, and I just love jamming with this chord in mind, and I try to like find different progressions to fit in this chord. Like I feel like, so it doesn't necessarily maybe at the same time it's also speaking to about the genre that we make, which is just instrumental music. So it might be a little more different, JYN, for you, where you actually deal with writing lyrics and stuff. So for me, at least, I think I can draw a lot of inspiration through instrumentally. But yeah, I think if I do have to think about things like lyrics and like really sharing my naked thoughts and putting pen to paper, I think that's like an added level of added dimension that I haven't really had to think about. So I'm curious too, actually.
Yeah.
You picked the wrong audience, basically.
Picked the wrong audience.
Yeah. So I
think we found a loophole to actually be able to do that.
If anybody's listening right now who has a podcast and who's not like in this genre and wants to talk about this, I'm happy to be your guest.
Alter egos, right? I think a lot of people, that's where people find, alter egos to play with different concepts. And Madlib, for example, has a bunch of alter egos. Like, so I think that's one way people have gotten around.
I even do that with my beat alter ego, which is like semi-public, what it is. And I like try different types of, because my music tends to be really like sort of cool and laid back and sort of like head nodding, sometimes going to like more of a funk direction, but always kind of reserved when it comes to like the emotional part of it. Whereas in my other projects, I pour in more of my emotion.
Let it out, man.
I just let it out. Let it all out. Yeah. So yeah.
I feel like one thing for me is, I mean, it's definitely harder, but on the other hand, it's also sometimes it works great together, because I feel like when I'm writing lyrics, for example, it's kind of like journaling sometimes. So it really, it's like self-therapy also in a way, because I really like, by writing out my thoughts, I also discover what really like drives me or what upsets me. So it's also, I'm in a way, I think I'm also that balanced because I write so many lyrics.
Got you. So it's kind of like Johnny or Metic. Now all our secret identities are given away, man.
I'm Julia, by the way. Yeah.
So it's kind of like Metic with his guitar noodles.
Yeah.
That I guess it's also like a certain type of self-therapy or self-care when you just sit down and it's just soothing to play the guitar and feel the notes coming out of it. And
yeah, and it's not always, I mean, like that episode that just came out with Mr. Ed Rollo, like, you know, sometimes it's difficult, right? And Ed talked about the grueling, quote unquote grueling process of you know, getting in the studio every day and you know, putting yourself in that position to create. It's not always easy, but you know, it's for me, there's always the guitar, you know. So.
Which is why I'm distinguishing between like the productive parts of playing an instrument and the just sitting down and just being.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. That's why noodle. Yeah, because actually, like when guitar, like people, if you want to practice, noodling is actually not a good way to practice. I know. Like so it's totally self-indulgent, and I guess in a way it is a form of self-care. Yeah, so you
so
feels like one of those.
I didn't even realize that
little drum fill comes in.
Yeah,
nice.
But I think this is a pretty good spot to kind of tie it up for this episode. And
you
I really. What's that? Sorry.
You also, I don't know where she's going to be in the final edit, but JYN, you also have the floor to just quickly promote your song that came out today.
Quickly promote my song.
That's right.
I haven't done that at all.
No.
I kind of like, I kind of forgot about it. I was super excited all week, and now today I just forgot it. So
also, to be fair, the podcast comes out 2 weeks after your song is out.
That is true as well. So
it'll
2
be good.
weeks, so it's Christmas already. It's like this comes out after Christmas then, because right now it's before Christmas.
We'll leave that to our producers, the scheduling. I'm not sure right now.
Well, Merry Christmas. Promote my song. Yeah, I have a new song. It's out for some time. I don't know how long. It's called Feel It Too, and it's good. You should listen to it.
You totally nailed that.
Thanks. I'm really good promoting myself. It's like
Amazing.
second nature. Amazing.
So DYVN, you did the production as well?
Yes.
He did.
Yeah.
Amazing job.
And it's like it's such a great team you guys have together. It's just like a
Yeah.
Look what I can do. I can actually reach into her
frame. Yeah.
We're that good.
Yeah. No, we are. Like today, for example, we both had the chance that David's mom's here right now, and she took care of our daughter, so we could both work at the same time.
It was incredible.
This is
exciting, like amazing. And
this is a moment.
Yeah, it really, like today is special, definitely. And then I don't know what he was doing, but I was like writing some lyrics and writing some chords, and I started to, play some guitar and sing a little bit. And he heard me sing, so he just came to the other room, stopped working at his own stuff, and just, was like, oh, should I make a beat for you? I totally hear something. So he just swooped right in, and we made a song together. So that was also
that's a great example of that.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that you shared that. I love that you shared that. That's just
so.
It's just such an organic and cool. Like it's just such a cool process that you guys have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us this week. I still don't know if I should look into my camera or to your camera, which doesn't make sense
yeah, no, that
at
doesn't
all.
make sense.
But either way, thank you so much for making the time.
Yeah.
I had a great time being here. That was fun. And yeah, I mean,
thanks for sharing all those tips and all those questions. It made me reflect on my life and my self-care routine.
I will continue
those are very
give you like more ideas for your upcoming podcasts. I won't be here, but
she'll be in the
my
background.
mind will be
it's going to be
you.
transferred into my head, and then
they'll be very
I'll speak
present
as a medium through her.
Exactly.
Yes. But thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom, and shout out to DYVN's mom for taking care of your daughter so that we could have you guys all in the same frame together.
Yeah.
And that wraps it up for episode 9.
Cool.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Have a good new year.